What is up, people? This is Rap Soup. I'm Mike. We got Nick and Matt here, as always. And today we're doing another installment of our best album by the year project that we've been working on. And we are in 1996, which also happens to be our birth year. So it's kind of interesting to see what was released pre our existence and post our existence. I'm kind of into that. Let me tell you, we've been talking. I don't think there is a single better year in rap history for albums. This is the hardest top 5 possible to make. There's stuff that's getting left off that doesn't deserve to get left off. If you're going to listen to any year, it's like all the albums throughout the year, this is it. It was messed up how many amazing albums dropped this year. Mind-blowing stuff. It's the year. This is the year of rap.
The year.
So I'd like to hear what you guys thought overall about 1996.
It's by far the best year we've listened to so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the best we listened to in between 1990 to present day. It's definitely the year that rap got pretty commercialized. Tupac's album, pretty commercial. And yeah, I think I listened to 27 albums or 25 albums last week, and I don't know if I gave any a 2 out of 4. It was all 3s and 4s out of 4. It was as good as could be. So I would listen to there was a few days where I listened to 9 or 10 albums, and it didn't feel like a job. I enjoyed every single one I listened to.
Yeah, this year was perfect. Rappers were up to something different in 1996. I don't know what was going on back then, but before 1996, no one was doing what people were doing in 1996, and after 1996, no one was doing what people were doing. So, yeah, it was crazy, a lot of fun to listen to, and like Mike said, it was insanely difficult to pick a top 5 for this year.
But we are Rap Soup, so we have to pick our top 5. All right, we're gonna run through these. Like I said, stuff's gonna get left off that people are gonna have as their favorite album of the year. But just deal with it because it's so damn tough. And what's top 5 now in a month, in a year might not be top 5, but yeah, that's just the way it works.
Pause here to look at what we listened to. All right, so we're going to do our top 5, and like Mike said, shit was left out of our top 5 that shouldn't have been left out of our top 5 because that's just how difficult it was. So give a couple of honorable mentions.
All right, so some honorable mentions from the year. These are all still unbelievable albums, just weren't my favorites. First off is the Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory by Machiavelli, who is also Tupac. It's a album he released under a different name, and it's a lot more serious than the other album he put out this year, but it's still good and definitely worth listening to. I also want to shout out Soul on Ice by Ras Kass, some of the craziest lyricism you could get in the 90s and even all time. Crazy album. Also, Beats, Rhymes, and Life by Tribe Called Quest. That album was really cool. They started bringing in J Dilla to help with production, and you could really tell with the drum beats that were going on that album. Also, insane album cover. And last, Dr. Octegonecologist by Dr. Octagon, who is also Kool Keith. A lot of alter egos in 1996. That's a really weird album. Again, crazy lyricism. Really interesting listen. Highly recommend.
Yeah, Dr. Gynecologist is fucking bizarre. Yeah, I also recommend listening to those ones that Nick just mentioned. But my honorable mentions for this year have to be, I'm going to say Ironman by Ghostface Killah. Unreal. So sick. In 1995, Jizza had Liquid Swords. And then Raekwon had Only Built for Cuban Links. And like Nick said in the last video, Only Built for Cuban Links could probably also be Ghostface album because he's on like 90% of the songs. But in 1996, Ghostface had his own album, Ironman. It's amazing. And that could also probably be Raekwon's album because he was on almost every song. Oh, I also am going to give an honorable mention to Stakes is High by De La Soul. Love that album a lot.
Okay. I have two. I agree with a lot of what they said, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Two I have is Muddy Waters by Redman. Dude, Redman is off the chain. That was some of the best rapping, some of the most fun beats. That's just an all-time album. And then also we had Infinite by Eminem, his first album. One thing about that, I mean, obviously his rapping is really good, but the actual sound of the album sounds way earlier 90s than a lot of like what else was going on in 96. Like it didn't sound modern for its age. It sounded older, which was kind of weird. Like it was like maybe the worst quality like beats. You know, the production obviously, I mean Eminem was small time here, so the production wasn't great, but there's still a lot of really good songs on the album that's worth listening to.
Yeah, Mr. Porter from D12, Con Artist was his name in D12. He did a lot of the production, and that's when Eminem started working with the Bates Brothers, and they recorded that in a shitty little studio on 8 Mile Road, and it's so awesome. I love Infinite. It's such a fast listen on YouTube. There's such a nostalgia factor in that one, and everyone should listen to it. If you're an Eminem fan and you haven't listened to Infinite, then you're just listen to it.
All right, so without further ado, we are going to move on to our top 5. Again, these are probably going to be decently controversial because of the quality of the year, but just understand we're coming from a place of love. So what are your guys' top 5s?
My 5th favorite album of the year. All of these are 4 out of 4, by the way. Number 5 for me is It Was Written by Nas. Number 4, Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep. Number 3, All Eyez on Me by Tupac. Number 2, ATLiens by Outkast. I can't even explain how hard it is to put Outkast at 2 again, when in 1994 I had them at 3, because they are my favorite rap of all time. But my number 1, I can't do it. I can't put ATLiens above it. I don't know why, but my number 1 album of the year is Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. It's my favorite Jay-Z album. It's unbelievable. It was released exactly a week after I was born, and I'm happy that I was on Earth for that to be released to the world. Reasonable Doubt and I were kind of unleashed into the world, and Reasonable Doubt is so much sicker than I am. So,
but my top 5, number 5, I had It Was Written by Nas. Unbelievable album. No Illmatic, but definitely close. His storytelling is unbelievable. Number 4, I had Illadelph Halflife by The Roots. I feel like that was really when they came into their own sound, and Black Thought is one of my favorite rappers of all time. That album is just amazing to me. Number 3, had All Eyez on Me by Tupac. Not much else to say about it. It's a very famous album. Number 2, had Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. And number 1, I had ATLiens.
I'm going to preface this with saying I am, out of my top 5, I am leaving out All Eyez on Me, even though I acknowledge it as one of the greatest albums of all time, and I fully understand why everyone loves it, and it has some of Tupac's best songs he's ever created. But I'm leaving it off the list because A, there was just too many songs that I didn't care for, or that were just fine. And when an album is like 2 hours plus, that's just going to happen. So when I'm looking at the album as a whole, it's an unbelievable album, and I'm sure I'll get shit on for saying this. And that's fine, but it's just the way it works for me. Not my problem. Number 5, I had It Was Written by Nas, an unbelievable second album by him after Illmatic. Obviously, it's not quite as good, but it's still phenomenal. Number 4, I had Ridin Dirty by UGK. The beats, I don't know if beats have ever hit like that to me. Like we said earlier, that Warren G's album was maybe the smoothest album of all time. And then last year, I think Nick said Tupac's album was the smoothest album of all time. I'm putting Ridin Dirty as the smoothest album of all time. I was freaking out at the instrumentals and the beats and everything. And I think it's their best rapping on an album yet, too. Number 3, Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep. We unanimously crowned The Infamous as the best album of the year. We were, ranting and raving of it for last year. I don't know if Hell on Earth is any worse, or if I don't even know if I don't even like it as much. It might be evenly compared to me. I was so surprised. And Nick was saying off screen when we were talking before that how much Hell on Earth sounds like the album title, and I couldn't agree more. Unbelievable stuff. Number 2, this is tough. I'm giving it to ATLiens. So previously was my 4th favorite Outkast album, and I still think it might be, but I definitely appreciate it and like it more than I used to. I still don't like it quite as much as their other projects, but that's fine. It's still a fucking phenomenal. The other 2 here have it on vinyl, and we were listening to it when I went down for a little bit. Having that thing blasted on some 1996 speakers on a vinyl, it'll make you appreciate the album more. And then number 1, although I know Matt said it's his favorite, it's my second favorite from the guy. I'm doing Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z. Unbelievable. That's how you come out. People whose first albums from their career are this crazy always blow me away. It's just so, people that have this much talent to start, dude, I just can't wrap my head around it. It was as good as stuff gets. I still think the Black Album's better, though.
You guys both said unbelievable after Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah.
It is. It just simply is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Because it is. Does this mean because 2 of us chose Reasonable Doubt and only 1 of us chose ATLiens, does that mean that Reasonable Doubt is crowned?
I'm fine with crowning it.
No, go ahead and crown it. I disagree, but I don't have too much of an issue with it.
You've always been biased towards ATLiens.
Dude, they're pretty different. They both have they're
not similar albums.
No. So it's just kind of the sound of Jay-Z I was just a little bit more into. I think there are songs off ATLiens that are probably better than any song off Reasonable Doubt, but I think as a project as a whole, I'm just gonna have to go with Jay-Z here.
Dude, it wasn't easy. Yeah, I have to do it. I think it's Jay-Z's one of the GOATs, and in my eyes, that's his best album. Maybe the Black Album's better, but very different. The Black Album couldn't be more commercial.
It's also kind of funny that
the best commercial
Outkast, the 2 years they've lost.
So I don't know.
If you take away those 2 years and put their Southern Playalistic and ATLiens in any other year that we've done so far, I could guarantee it'd win. It's just the years that it was out, there was just 1 stronger or 2 stronger. And that's tough. I don't think that trend's going to continue, but that's just the way it's gone so far.
I still think ATLiens is better, but if that's what you guys think is better, I have no issue with it.
Crowned.
Yeah, either way, they're the best. Either one of them is the best. If Mike said ATLiens, I couldn't be more fine with ATLiens being crowned the best, but he said Reasonable Doubt, and I'm also fine with that being. They're so different, and I like Outkast better than Jay-Z, but dude, it's the best year of rap, and Jay-Z's debut kind of takes it.
What are your favorite songs from it?
So my top 3 from this album, it's going to be pretty fluid. I don't have as strong of thoughts on this album as I do some other albums because there's just so many damn quality tracks on here. I would say number 3 is Feeling It. That beat is so smooth. That's just a fun thing to just move around to real quick. Number 2 is Dead Presidents 2. I love the Dead Presidents shit. That whether it's Nas Logic or Jay-Z over that beat. It's just one of my favorite sounds, and just like the idea and theme of it is just all time to me. And then number one is Brooklyn's Finest, because what hits fucking harder than that?
My top three in no order are Can't Knock the Hustle, Dead Presidents 2, and Feeling It.
If I had to pick three, the top two for sure would be The Evils and 22 Twos. It's like the hardest Jay-Z's ever gone. And then it's tough because my heart says Brooklyn's Finest. But when I really think about it, Can't Knock the Hustle, that song was like the start of Jay-Z. When I listen to it, I'm like, this is where Jay-Z came from. It's like that sound, that beat, and then I don't know, it just means so much more when I listen to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to leave Politics as Usual off too. You could maybe switch Feeling It out with that for me, but
I'm just feeling it. It's a true feel it song.
Like said.
Yeah. But yeah, you could put any one of these songs in the top three and it would make sense. They're all phenomenal.
So as we've gone through the albums, if you're unfamiliar with some of these, start listening to them, because I promise this year was just off the chain. It was some of the best rapping we've ever heard. So I really appreciate you guys watching. I would love to hear your thoughts. Give us a top 5. We reply to every comment. Talk shit about me because I left all Eyez on Me off of it. That's fine. But like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.